Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com. In this video, we're going to talk about the secret FICO credit score that goes all the way up to 900. But before we do that, I would ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So it sounds like a little bit of a clickbaity video title, right? It's like the secret FICO score that they don't want you to know about. But it really is sort of a secret FICO score. All right, now Citibank, like a lot of credit cards these days, offers a free FICO score to people that hold one of its credit cards, one or more of its credit cards. And right here is my page in my account, and it shows my FICO credit score history, right? But the interesting thing is when we go closer, and we'll see if I can make this work, you can see that it says score range is 250 to 900. Hopefully you can see that. Score range is 250 to 900. Well, what's going on with that? Normally we think of the score range as being 300 to 850. So we've got something different happening here, a secret FICO credit score. So FICO, or Fair Isaac Company, as it used to be more commonly called, invented the credit score, but they didn't invent just one credit scoring model. Obviously, they invented an initial model, and there were refinements over the year, and then they also started to sort of branch off into offering models that were specific to certain industries. And so as part of that, they started offering models that were specifically for credit cards and specifically for auto loans. And really, as a consumer, you probably wouldn't know this because every time you hear FICO credit scores talked about, you sort of hear about their base score that has a scoring model that goes from 300 to 850, and they tell you what the components are, and they tell you, how to get the best score, but they don't really talk about any of the other scores that they do have. So for this video, we are going to talk about that FICO Bankcard Score because it's actually a score that is pretty important, and especially pretty important to people that are going after credit cards, which I know is a big part of the audience for this channel. Now, we do know some things, and the good news is that, if you've been doing the right things to, increase or maintain your credit score, they're probably going to, do just as well for you on the FICO Bankcard scale as they would in the, sort of traditional base scale that you might be more familiar with. However, there are some things we know about the Bankcard scale that are a little different, and obviously there would be differences or they wouldn't have a different product, right? So I'm going to give you 4 things that from my investigation at least that I know of to be different. There may be other things as well. Like I said, FICO's not all that forthcoming about this particular credit scoring model, but 4 of the things to know. Number 1, very interesting I think to some people, is that authorized users are treated sort of less importantly than maybe the general FICO score scale is. So if you are, an authorized user on somebody else's credit card, in order to try to increase your credit score, it's probably doing better for you on the base FICO scoring model than it is on the bank card scale. So you maybe, if you've used that as a way to increase your credit score, it's possible you might be fooling yourself a little bit in terms of, how much your credit score has jumped, because if it's credit cards in particular that you are targeting when you're thinking about increasing your credit score, it may not really be doing a lot for you. Not a negative, but it is seen more as neutral within this bank card scoring model. And I think the other thing I would throw in here too is and part of the reason I think it has changed why they kind of came up with this new model is there are people that will actually, sell you access to their credit lines as a way for you to be an authorized user on a card in order to increase your credit score. And I think this was partially in relation to that, to try and stop that from happening, to just sort of neutralize the authorized user a little bit more. So it is possible if you, see your credit score go up when you're an authorized user, it might not look that way to a credit card issuer. Number 2, credit utilization has more weight in the FICO bank card model. So if you are using more of your available credit, in relation to the, total that you have, that is going to hurt you more in the bank card model than it would in the standard FICO scale. Number 3, new credit applications are also going to have more weight. So if you've been opening, a lot of new credit cards, that is going to hurt you more in the future with the credit card companies than maybe it would if you were going after a mortgage or an auto loan, although it still would matter to them. So certainly don't, get the idea that it's that big of a difference here. I think it's still subtle differences. And then the fourth piece to it is that small missed payments may have less weight. And I almost hate to say this one because, making your payments on time is something I push and push and push every time that I talk about credit scores. But if you think about it, there are certain situations in your life where, maybe you moved and you had a utility bill that still needed to be paid, but you didn't get it before you moved and you forgot about it or whatever, and it, went off into collections or whatever, and you never kind of dealt with it. That is something that through the traditional scoring model could, really hurt you, but through the bank card model is something that maybe there's a little more leeway on for smaller debts that either don't get paid or, get paid late. And, if you think about it, all of these pieces sort of make sense. The authorized user makes sense because they want to see, how you would handle credit cards, not really how somebody else handles credit cards that they've, sort of let you attach your name to, but maybe you haven't actually even been given a physical card. Obviously, the credit utilization having more weight makes sense because, when you sort of look at, credit cards versus a mortgage or an auto loan, that's when you have, sort of a difference in terms of, how much credit you can use versus how much is available. When you take out an installment loan, you take out a certain amount and you slowly pay it down. So it is a different, sort of a different equation there. The new credit applications obviously make sense. If you are getting a lot of new credit cards, that obviously is something that they are a little worried about, especially if your credit utilization is going up in tandem with those new applications, because that means you're using them and you're, growing more debt. And even the small payments makes a little bit of sense because if you think about it, the credit card company doesn't want you to default, but they wouldn't mind if you were late once in a while and had to pay a late fee and had to pay interest. So they might be willing to forgive some small indiscretions in your past in order to, when they're calculating your credit score. Overall, I don't think this is really all that big of a deal, the bank card score versus the standard credit scoring models. I think the couple things that, the first thing that jumps out to me at least is that authorized user piece. I think sometimes people really get excited when they see a jump in their scores, and it is good because it can help you in many ways. If you need an auto loan, maybe it can help you. If you need a mortgage, it's going to help you. And it might even help you a little bit on the credit card front, but it is not nearly as impactful as you might think it is. But number two, sort of the bigger takeaway for me is something that I've said many times in multiple videos, and that is don't get too hung up on what your credit score is. Watch the trends of your credit score. Find a tracker so that you can, watch your credit scores over time, whether that's something like Credit Karma or Credit Sesame, or it is, something through through a credit card company that will show you the trends over time of your credit score. Tracking it that way makes a lot of sense to see how you're doing. If it's going down for some reason and you're unsure, then you can see if there's an issue, or if you're doing everything right, you can kind of watch it go up over time. But you don't want to get too hung up on it because of the fact that you don't know for sure what score a lender is going to use, and you don't know necessarily what the weight is that they're going to put on different things, because even beyond the fact that you've got this bank card score that has, a different range from, 250 to 900, you also have the fact that individual lenders can tweak these algorithms a little bit on their own. So if there's, a bank or whatever that really is, high on, the credit utilization being low, that may be like sort of a knob that they can sort of turn up and make that an more important piece of the puzzle, or same thing if it's new applications or whatever. So there is the ability to sort of customize this stuff as well. So we sort of talk about these scores as if they just kind of, hand them out and that's the end of the game, and that score is what they make their decisions on. But some banks can even tweak those further. So again, watch the trends of your credit score. Don't worry too much about these specifics, but be aware that the credit card companies do look at you a little bit differently than maybe other lenders do. And so some of those pieces to the puzzle that you see on the sort of base FICO score, the weighting might be different when it comes to credit scores, and it may show you why you're seeing a particular credit score and think that you're going to be approved for a certain credit card, and then you get denied, and maybe somebody with a lower base credit score does not, because maybe those specific factors that weigh more factored into that decision. So that's it. Thanks for watching. As always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews and have personal finance news and talk deals and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thank you for watching. Bye.